Oh, okay. Recording in progress.
Hi, welcome. Thank you for coming to this Friday Stories talk. Today we have Natalia Martinsson with us. This talk is a unique Q&A talk with people from the gaming industry that the Great Journey offers a couple of Fridays every semester. So I'm so happy to present Natalia Martinsson. She will tell her honest story of managing her studio, how she found her way into the game industry and facing all the challenges and happy and unhappy accidents, I will say. So welcome, Natalia. Please share your presentation with us.
All right, thank you. Let me see if I understood this from the first time. Yes, I think I got it. I think I got it. Give me a second. So there you go. Yay! Look, this magic of the internet. So as you heard, I'm Natalia Martinsson. I'm the co-founder of Killmonday Games, and I carry a lot of hats on my head, which makes me very stressed, but it's fun. I do the art. I mean, I direct the art now and animation and narrative, but for both Fran Bow and Little Misfortune, that has been our two games that we have developed. I was the artist and animator and the narrative on hands-on. I'm gonna tell you the story what happened later and why I'm the director only now. But yeah, I love to be creative. It's like something that began when I was a little child. I was painting on the walls, on the books and everything, you know. And then also writing and just coming up with stuff was just so amazing. I felt free. So I think that's kind of the basics of why I was always looking for be somehow creative, you know, somehow being able to pay my rent and bills being creative. So yes, that's the person I am. And this talk is going to be just about building an indie game studio with zero experience, like no budget, only the passion. All right. And why I bring passion, like one very important thing to have is just that. It's just the desire to actually do something that it's so unknown, but that we have so much, you know, belief in ourselves, or you know, not so much believe in ourselves because insecurities come all the time, but you know that there's something that is calling you. That's the passion that I'm talking about, that there's something that you know this is something that you feel very attracted to. And like I said, no budget. Really, we didn't have money at all. With my husband, we started Killmonday Games, Isak Martinsson, and he also a dreamer. He made like short films, and when we met, he was going into the school studying just to make films. So we kind of connected there in a very passionate way, and we fall in love. And then we tried to do short films, but it didn't work so well. um, we did though a few trials, and we finished a few projects together, so we knew that we could work together very well. But yeah, and we didn't have the budget, you know, to in any kind of way actually to make games. We didn't even know how to make a game. We didn't even know how to code a game. So we really come from like no experience at all. And yes, but in the big picture, it was like this what I was saying about being creative and this passion of just being finding this meaning of my life, you know, to spend my hours of my days just creating something. And for me, that meant freedom. And when we started to, you know, talk with my husband about the possibilities, what can we do so we can actually live out of, you know, creating something. So then came this idea of making video games. And how did it happen? We were just like chilling and looking at this movie, the indie game, the movie. And oh, we realized there that we don't need to be like this huge studio to create something beautiful or fun, or, just we needed ourselves and a computer and a few programs. We didn't know what yet, but we were like, oh, that sounds fun and that sounds interesting. And as we came both from a narrative background, we were like very drawn to, create a video game that was a story somehow. And I come from a background of like no gaming at all, because I come from Chile and my family didn't really have resources to, you know, be even close to a computer. So, or, consoles or anything. So never really got the chance to play games. But Isaac was a gamer his whole life. Like he got all the consoles when he was a little boy, so he had a lot more experience when it came to play games. And for me, it was like, I don't know what this is, but I mean, before we knew about making games and everything, I started to play like, some when I moved to Sweden, I played some games on, PlayStation 1 or stuff like that. But I never came to what we ended up creating, that was like adventure games, point and click adventure games. And I actually found this very charming little game on um, on the web. It was called Alice is Dead, and I found it so cool. It was a little bit creepy, and you just click around, and I felt like this was a very good way of just, like telling a story, like going forward and in your own pace. I found it very appealing, just to also to bring new people into the game world, like that you didn't need to know too much about controls and become a little bit nervous about it. Um, so the idea from the beginning was really like incorporate more people, and then came the mobile games that became a huge thing. So we were like, oh, okay, but maybe our first game could be, like a video game in the mobile, or like something more. Yeah, like I told you, we were like just putting ideas together from nowhere, no, knowing very little about anything. So the thing grew more and more, and then yeah, we decided, all right, let's do this, let's do a game. And then we decided to do Fran Bow. And Fran Bow was when you go to Fran Bow, then you realize that um, oh wait, something with my internet, looks like. Do you hear me? Still hear me? Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we hear you.
All right. I think my presentation broke. It doesn't roll. Like it's missing some pictures.
Oh,
That's
uh,
weird, right? It's like missing two pictures there, 4 and 5. Anyway, you will have to use your imagination.
okay.
But I can go here back, and yeah, like you can see Frambo is the two pictures on the lowest
Mm,
part of this. Maybe you already know. I don't know.
yeah, we see it. Mm.
But yeah, Frambo was like mostly um like a story that I've been reading for a long time before we started to do games. So then again, like we didn't have experience about making games, but we did have experience in other things, in other disciplines, that was like writing stories or drawing or animating. I went actually to a school in Sweden 2 years for animation. So it was like we had some tools, like we were from before very curious about creating stuff. So when it comes to gaming, it was like mostly putting everything together like a cake. um, and Frambo, like I said, it was a story that I started to write a long time before. And actually, I wanted to do a stop motion animation with the story of Frambo. But back then it was a lot smaller story, and it was about this girl that was after her cat, Mr. Midnight. And I actually started to do this stop motion short film, but there the creative path is a painful one. it was um, it was I got a little bit of budget from the culture house where I was living in Upplands Väsby in Sweden. And I got the opportunity to build the dolls and started even to film. But about 6 months in production, somebody came into the place that we were allowed to have everything, and they kind of destroyed the dolls that I did. So it was a very pain in my soul, can we say. And I really didn't want to do this anymore because it was so, so much work. And then like do things with your hands, it takes you to another level, like you are with them, every little thing, you're seeing them. And it was very sad experience, but I was very happy when then we got the idea of making the game, like um yeah, it doesn't work still. And and when we were doing then Fran Bow, it was like, yeah, I got this opportunity to make this story again, but better, with more experience and with more, like maturity of the story itself. And then it became what it became. I mean, it was very, we really wanted to do a very extensive world with Isaac, but yeah, the resources still very low. So we did after that. Wait, it doesn't work. Okay, but anyway, so we did an Indiegogo campaign. Um, yeah, it doesn't work. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it. So the Indiegogo campaign was a success, and we are like incredibly thankful about those 1,099 people that helped us to, under these 2 months to just gather some money to be able to just sit down and actually do the work. And before that, we realized with Isaac that because we were doing like a little demo to, see if we could do the game. And we realized then that, all right, we don't have the resources, the monetary resources yet, but we need to learn. And as I said earlier, we needed to learn how to actually code a game. So I was taking care of the art, of the animation and the writing, and Isaac was then taking the responsibility to learn how to code. And he also did music. So we had kind of a little team within ourselves, to create something together. So yeah, when we did the Indiegogo, we didn't have the demo yet. And like the first week, somebody told us, oh, but you should really like share a little bit more of what you're doing if you really want to be successful with this. And then we learned that, yeah, to show more, it actually helps a lot, because then you can, get kind of the empathy of others as well, that okay, we are struggling with this project, but there's something cool that is going to be done here. It's very personal, and it comes to, from really this passion that I was talking about. And when that happened, then we realized, all right, we can now do this, but we were still like a little bit lost. Like, how do we actually get this done? Because yeah, you can start the production, you can have a plan, you can know where you want to go, but the walking this path is totally different to what you kind of picture in your mind. Days go by, you have issues, a lot of technical problems. And if you know that, if you have already getting your hands into game development, you know how it is, you know how much unknown there's about any idea that we start creating. And one of the things that with time I really felt like it was very important, and something that we were like not so good at the beginning, was to plan more. because we were like jumping into doing more than planning right away. So yeah, plan more. It's gonna take a little while more, but it's gonna help so much at the end. And that's one of the things that I would love to, have heard more of when I was doing Fran Bow. When doing Fran Bow, we also um, worked so much that is something that I really don't want to recommend to anybody, mainly because you get burnout and you just sometimes must redo a lot of work just because you're so tired and just because you are so into, the thing to get it done, and then you're not seeing the whole picture. So that was also one of the things that kind of, it was, like the sad parts of the development, that sometimes you have to kind of go over your own boundaries, and be kind of obsessive to actually get something done. But at the end, I realized that um, it was, yeah, like I said, sometimes you got to do more or do 2 times the thing or 3 times the same thing just because you were so exhausted. So finding time to rest is really, really important. Um, so let me see if after this. So yes, that's kind of why we come then to the struggle of game development and the story of Queen and King Noob. That's me and my husband, and how mental health became so important to us. It's just what I came to tell you a little bit about getting burnout. And going back to the story of Fran Bow, the story of Fran Bow, first of all, going back to the passion as well, I love to be personally connected to whatever we are creating. It gives me the meaning, it's just that what makes me want to go up every day. And also it takes you to be quite open with yourself, true to yourself, and sometimes it hurts a little bit, but it's worth it. You have to be vulnerable and see yourself and see, oh, what can I bring from myself out there to the world, to the creative part. That's what I love the most. And I think many have asked me just about how you find the motivation to do this, because a game can take, like several years if you go to the narrative. It's complex. And that was always my answer, that it's so personal, but it's not about me. It's about it has to be a difference there, that you take it personal, but it's not about you, it's about the game. So you have to find some kind of balance there. But yeah, about being noobs, we made a lot of mistakes when it came to deciding what kind of game is going to be, deciding what kind of platforms we're going to release on, and deciding on the scale. We were like, we want to do everything. And it was like, it's not possible. And not possible with the amount of money that we got either with Indiegogo. It was like, we were just too much of dreamers. And that's why we needed to work so much more to be able to, kind of release this that we wanted. And then, yeah, going back to being with the personal. Sorry that I go back and forth, but my mind works like this, okay? And it feels like when we started to, see more of Fran Bow, the concept was getting more close to the idea that we wanted. We realized that there was a theme that was coming back to us. And not only in the game, but also what we were experiencing while making the game. It was about taking care of our mental health. And somehow I realized that Fran, her journey was just about, mental health and her visions and all that we experienced later. But it was through the journey that we kind of found our voice as developers, and our guide, that we really wanted to do games that had somehow a connection to our minds. So Fran Bow, it's divided in these 5 realities, and I wanted to create somehow a connection to every part of us, like either that is super beautiful and peaceful, and that's kind of connected to our sweet part, to our hopeful part. And then the fifth reality, it was more of the darkness of being gruesome somehow. And we have all those parts, even though if we don't want to tell. But our minds wander so much, and I really wanted to have some kind of connection there. And so the more I did about Fran Bow, the more it became this complexity of worlds that also were resembling somehow our minds and how we work as people. And then I became completely obsessed with psychology and everything. So I read a lot of books about it, and I feel like we did the same kind of approach then to our game, Little Misfortune. And for me, Fran Bow was also at the same time that I was going some therapy that didn't really work for me so well. I found the therapy that really fixed my brains a lot later, not actually so long ago, like 2-3 months ago. I ended my therapy, so I am free. I'm happy. But yeah, it's a journey, so it did take a long time to actually find the right approach as well. And Fran Bow is really connected to just about, going there, going to the dark, look at it in the eye, and be aware that that's not what it's going to, determine who I am, or the hero, in this case Fran Bow, needs to accept. She can go and choose the happiness or the lighter parts. And so it's kind of it became kind of a journey of itself for me as a developer making Fran Bow. And then when it was released, it was like, yeah, we understood. Many people were understanding also this. And because we did it like not so straightforward, like this, that, and that, people were also very, very able to make their own connections with the symbolic parts of the game. I always get a little bit, frustrated when I get this kind of criticism about Fran Bow being too bloody because of the sake of it. And it's quite sad, because that shows me that some people are afraid of going there, are afraid of reading between the lines. And that's an issue that we all have. I also have been through that, that not accepting this is dark because it's dark, or, like we criticize before we can see beyond its own truth. So that's kind of it teach me a lot also to see how people have reacted to the game of what we've done, because sometimes we just produce something, but gamers also can see so much more that we haven't been able to see. So it has been a very a very good learning experience as well. And as I said, Fran Bow was very connected to my personal experiences when it came to, going to mental institutions, feeling totally lost there, having medicine that really didn't help, and, kind of seeing the other stories around me that were somehow so much worse than my own. And that kind of also created some kind of empathy, for the darkness, for the lost. So it was kind of a romantic journey when it came to mental health for me. Ah, I get so passionate about this. So, and after the release, of course, you have worked so much. We work with Fran Bow 3 years. It was a long time to be doing the same thing every day, being, seeing your creation grow and grow for each day. That when you come to the end, it comes a very low time. It's like you are so high on endorphins when you release, everybody's looking at you like, oh my god, yeah. And then this vanishes a little bit, and then comes this very dark moment of, I think it's because you are so high in endorphin that then all of a sudden it just leaves your body, and then it's so yummy to be up there. and then it comes this, and you have nothing to do, no ideas, no nothing. The positive though, that Fran Bow after the first month of release sold 10,000 copies. So Isaac and I didn't need to go back to live with our moms, because we ended we released the game with just 2,000 crowns in our bank account. We couldn't even pay the rent with that. So it was very good news. But yeah, time just kind of, it was kind of a bittersweet time, you know, like we were so happy that we made it and people were understanding the game and we could be able to keep doing, and then there was nothing more to do. So that period also was a little bit, you know, hard to understand. Where do we go from here? We have never before experienced success, you know. It was like the first time. It was like, it feels awesome, but also this, what is this? Why is it feel so empty? So yeah, it was like the low tide times. And then we started to do another game that we called Different Galaxy. We wanted to step it up. We learned a new language. We used Game Maker for Fran Bow to create the game. For this new game, we started to use Unity, so we felt a little bit more pro, you know. We were advancing in our knowledge and it felt really great. But this game also, it was kind of, it helped us to realize a lot of the technical part, but it never got done, mainly because it was too big idea again. We felt like we were doing the same mistakes with Fran Bow, you know, and we did an absolute no go back there to work like 16 hours a day, you know, like no, never again. So we kind of put it on ice, but we learned so much about Unity and other technical things, as I said. And yeah, it took a while to come there to, you know, come up with a new idea. So we understood that it will be like this, like after releasing is high, 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 and then a low, low, low. And to be okay with that took also a little bit of work. The story of Misfortune. Yay! How to use resources. And our second game was all about learning more and letting go. When it comes to, you know, learning more, a little bit of what I already shared with you, we changed to a new way of, you know, working with Unity 3D. It was more open and it has more tools, you know, to play around with, and it feels very, very nice. But also Misfortune came after this 1 year that we did this other game that never came out, and we realized that Isaac and I wanted to work on something a little bit shorter, but with some new things that we didn't have for Fran Bow, as for example, voice acting and even being able to release on consoles. And how I explained a little bit earlier with the question there, that when it comes to consoles, it also takes work, another kind of workflow you have to have in mind. So yeah, there was like this learning curve that was very big for us, you know, like coming from any nowhere. So but it was exciting times. It was like also the first time that we actually took people to help us, you know, took in people. And we were a little bit in the beginning with this, like, you know, like we were a couple, we wanted to do games like with each other, and to get people into our creative world was also like really, you know, difficult to us in the beginning. But it was amazing. I just loved it, and it was a very challenging experience as well, you know, to guide others into your ideas, to teach yourself, you know, to how I'm going to be sharing this idea with others. So and that also has been like a chaos to, you know, to get into, but at the end it worked pretty cool. And as I say, for Misfortune, we wanted to also do like, when it came to the art, I wanted to go like all more colorful, still like this darkness in it, but as it's going to be about this little girl and her childhood, and we wanted to portray it like from her perspective. And if you zoom in into the pictures, I'm a little bit nerd, if you zoom in, you're gonna see like there's like this pencil. You see like the pencil, quite, a little bit childish, like, and I was like, I really want to have that kind of vibe on the entire game. But anyway, like that it was a complete scene and everything, but with these tiny, tiny details that made it somehow more childish. And I felt like we were on the right path with this project. We were learning more. We were more like, um, focused, that we did have resources to fall on, not like in Fran Bow that we had so little. um, and that also was a little bit, dangerous also, because we kind of felt like in this like happy place where we have everything, and also that not setting boundaries or, a limitation was also the issue to, work with. And but at the end, we kind of realized, all right, we are going to decide to just do this game that is a little bit simpler than Fran Bow when it comes to, the gameplay is really straightforward. But we needed other things, to learn first to do with this game. So we were like very, very honest when it came to that. So the first, it was like making this bigger art, was challenging. Then the story itself, we wanted to come up with an idea that it felt a little bit different to Fran Bow, that not only point and click, but also, like, um, uh, somehow more of an interactive story, and find us a way of telling that story that felt kind of fresh. So for us, at least, from the previous project. So we did this kind of relationship with the Misfortune, and the voice that she hears, and that is also the voice that is telling us about the story. So it was a little bit of breaking the fourth wall there, and we had a lot of fun time writing the story. And Misfortune came, uh, like I said, after this whole year that we were making this other game. And it came because we were like with Isaac, sitting on, out, like looking through the window every night about 10 in the evening, like just chilling in the evening. And we were starting to see like this fox going through the street. And we were like starting to make up stories about this fox, and we realized that maybe it's just his path home or something. And then it became like this, the entire idea of Benjamin and then Misfortune. And I was starting, like making this voice and, like speaking quite childish. And then, yeah, the characters kind of came to life, just like playing around. And then we realized that we had the chance to, for us, like personal journey with this game, to go back in our childhoods, because we had been having like these childhoods that are not too good. And we wanted to kind of portray them somehow with respect, with some kind of going back to that we are, and celebrate it, even though it can be, sad or dark. It doesn't matter. It makes who we are today, and it's part of our journey. It doesn't mean that it's my story, that I need to carry around it and that it has to pain me, but somehow see like the beauty in it, and like the processes that we go through. So we went really deep, like, um for example, the entire thing that Misfortune is quite neglected. It's kind of the story of my life. I felt like the entire childhood was very much going me with my ideas and my voices, like anywhere I wanted. And it was like a lot of that pain, it's reflected in the game. And as well, like the story of Isaac, he has a very like, uh, hard background as well. His father took his life when he was just 3 years old. So there has been also like this emptiness for him. And we wanted to portray that kind of feeling, and just to make, it everybody has gone through things, and we wanted to just share it openly. And yes, and that's why we were also very, connected to the game, because it had like these feelings from our own childhood. And then yes, it became the connection also to Fran Bow, the same universe, and we started to play around with those ideas, and we loved it. So we were like, oh my god, we need to expand this universe with the ultra reality, if you have heard about it. And these 5 realities and all that. So yeah, at the end we were like very happy, and like I said, we started then to at about 1 year in, or yeah, 1 year in production. The first year it was just Isak and I again, but then we realized, oh, we need help, we need help. So we got our first um, co-worker. She was an artist, because I really needed help for this hand. It was like and I really got like, I was so scared, to share how I did the style and everything with somebody else, but it worked pretty well. And it was like an eye opening when we hire, um her name is Essie. Essie was like this this girl that really wanted to do games, and she has been studying already, so she kind of knew more than I did when it came to the technical part of art. And she even was very into 3D graphics, and so she kind of started to show us another way, a whole new way of doing games as well. So we were very like learning from her a lot, as she also got into our way of working, and felt like, oh, this is really really interesting. And yeah, she's still with us since then, so we kind of, yeah, it feels like super nice. And after that we needed to get help a little bit more with, also because we wanted to do the console versions, and all that part was very overwhelming to do. It took a while, but yeah, we did need to, Isaac did all the work with the bureaucracy part, so that part was like done. But we needed to accelerate things. So otherwise, it would take so much more time than already took to release just this new game, that we also felt it wasn't that long, so we needed to kind of speed up stuff. And then we got in 2 new programmers that help Isaac. And yeah, then the last year of production for Little Misfortune went about recording voices, and all that experience also was like super like a dream come true. I've been acting like since I was 5 years old, but just theater and like short films. And to make voices to a character was like, I watched like lots of cartoons when I was tiny, and still and I feel like it was something that I really wanted to do. So when it came Misfortune, and I actually I was so insecure about myself that I didn't want to do it in the beginning. But Isaac was like, "But come on, you know this, you can do this," and I was like, "Ah, okay, I do it." So he hired me. I didn't hire myself, so but it was really fun experience. So I got to go into the studios and work with a professional actor and all that, and then it was so fun. So and I still talked like her sometimes. She kind of never left me. But it was like it was like very, you know, it was an experience that was very enjoyable in the overall. So we're really happy that, yeah, Frambo was like the struggle to, kick off the company. Killmonday was like, and now Misfortune was also a struggle, but it did had more enjoyable parts when it comes, to the personal journey itself, and more dreams came true, and all that. So in that way, it was like this step up, really. So yeah, we use our resources in a more, generous way, can we say, and like I said in the beginning, we did have this struggle a little bit about setting the boundaries, but it's so important. Otherwise, you just keep going and keep going. So even though if you have like the resources, you have to set up the boundaries there. So yes, and after I'm gonna go back a little bit. Then we released Misfortune. It was like a little bit easier to reach out to fans because we already had Fran Bow and a lot of YouTubers had played it. So our name was out there. Fran Bow name was out there. And we were like with Misfortune. So the second game, it is a little bit easier when it comes to that. But we didn't really have that much help from, like not many wrote about this game, and it was like misunderstood a lot. Like a lot of people were like mostly confused and a little bit uncomfortable, I think, because we take so many topics that maybe people can you know kind of manipulate somehow. And I think also the game got really like the ratings for it is like in some places is 18 plus, and we were like, but this is a baby, why did it got so high ratings for 18 plus and so maturity stuff. So it was a little bit confusing, but we learned a little bit. We have been always been a little bit of rebels, we just want to go out there and share the truth about ourselves, like in a fantasy setting, of course, and a little bit wacky. But like I think it's misunderstood. um and then we got like when we got some of YouTubers for the most playing the game, it was like we didn't really got connection directly to them, so we got lucky actually. And I think because so many of them already knew the company through Fran Bow, then for Misfortune it was a little bit easier for them to get connection. Then we with the time we have been getting more personal with some of them, but it's like super difficult. And uh, we just yeah, we just being lucky actually with the marketing part. Now with the third game we are having like a plan because we don't know actually what has worked from before. I mean, we have always have like some plan, but we haven't gotten the big resources to spend a lot of money on marketing. And for Little Misfortune, I think we did mostly videos and stuff like that maybe were like a little bit more resourceful. But yeah, it was a lot about just releasing it and going back to our to the community that we already got there. So yes, after Misfortune, what happened? The time happened. And the third game, that is, yeah, you see me there, all confused. That's what I am right now. And yeah, and as we have like these two experiences, the previous experience, now the third game, we realized that before we jumped into this third game, we actually had, with Isaac and I, another plan from before. And we kind of, with COVID, we kind of went to a crisis there, if we're honest. And because, like I said, very in the beginning when we started this, so we had our office. We were like around 7 people uh, working together because we needed help for this third game then. So we started to hire more, and we were kind of getting into understanding how to drive this company that has grew somehow. The scale was bigger and more responsibilities were needed. And so we were from not knowing anything before from Bow to be like more people. And all that 2 games that we did, all that experience of course help us a lot to understand the whole thing. But have a company, it's like a total different story. It's like you enter into human resources and you know this how you call it, the taxes and stuff like that. That is not creative at all. And you know you get into that and start learning. Then again, I take everything in my life as if it was a game, so it's more enjoyable, even if it's not, you know, bureaucracy and stuff like that. See it like a management game, and then it becomes a little bit easier. But still, you know, it's still, you know, like you still like not having the experience in and needing to earn each experience, failing a lot and being again super vulnerable and putting yourself out there like, oh, I did this wrong, and needing to understand that you need to do better and be, you know, like okay with that. Your ego kind of gets very, very, you know, handled and everything. So it's kind of, it took a while before it felt like we were more in some kind of balance. So yes, this was before COVID. So I was getting balance. We're happy again. And then COVID comes. And then we were just about to move to a bigger office because we were like being more people, and we were so excited because we were going to have this whiteboard where to work together and this everything like super getting some sense of, you know, we got this. Then COVID comes, we need to digitalize everything. And when we do that, like everything kind of got lost in that translation. We needed to, you know, come up with a new plan, how to work like this. And that took all the focus, you know, like we forgot everything else that we were working about. So it took a while, few months to, you know, get reorganized. And when we kind of found somehow the organization was going back on track, we kind of were so tired that we just wanted to create something. So we went all in with this third game, and we were doing 3D assets because we jumped from 2D to 3D, and I really wanted to reach this. I want to do 3D like if it was beautiful 2D. That was my plan. It was difficult, but we were like doing again and doing again until we started to get some sense of what we were after. And then we realized, wait a minute, we have these two other projects that we have been like promising to our fans a long time now, and they're halfway done. And then I got depressed, I went to burnout, I started to, you know, like going around like not knowing where to go. And then Isaac and I were like in this crisis where he was like on a boat, I was in another boat, so the things were not working. We were like totally working in different things but believing that we were on the same boat, if that makes sense, you know, like the communication was like not there. So yeah, after COVID, like I said, the translation from being on the real world to the digitalization were like chaos. So not so long ago, yesterday, can we say like um, a few months ago, like half a year now, can be that we started to, you know, realize that something was really wrong with us. I mean, we still like production going forward. It was not the issue about that, but it was mostly the issue about who we are now. What's happened with us? What happened with the darkness that we wanted to share? What happened with the deep of our stories? What happened with you know, the ultra reality that we wanted to keep evolving into? And the things were still there, but they were like very, you know, kind of diluted somehow and divided. So like I said, not so long time ago, we kind of realized it and we were like, oh, illumination again. We are back together to this track. But yeah, it's like that. What I realized is that every single project, it's gonna take you out of balance. And when you go there, be quick into realizing that something is not right. And when you feel like something is not right, it's because something is not right. You have to really like listen to yourself. I was like feeling super burnout for 1.5 years, kind of. And I was like talking to Isaac, but I don't feel good. There's something missing. There's something that is we're not working on. And then we realized that we are now 13 people. We grew. We didn't kind of revisit our where are we right now. More people means another kind of culture. We change, we evolve, we become this 13 brains creature now, and we need to connect each other. And it's kind of to realize that it's like it can be beautiful, like now I see it and it's like I love everybody so much. And it's kind of, but you have to get into that time. You have to get to know, where we are now. Stop a little bit. We were like so tired after, changing to the digitalization, and then we wanted to do something, be creative again. And that kind of was a little bit against us. So now we're back on track again. We're working on the continuation of Fran Bow, which is not a super long game, but it's kind of, I don't know what to call it yet. Is it Fran Bow 2? Is it a new chapter? We are still like a little bit confused, but we're getting out there. We're getting the project done. And how it looks like right now, it's like I don't want to share anything until it's done, because I've been like promising stuff that we haven't been able to deliver. And also we realize that happens stuff like COVID, stuff that you never see coming, and you have to be prepared for that kind of stuff. But yeah, you cannot be prepared, but like kind of be quite agile, and step on these different places, and be kind of open to learn new things all the time. So yes. And the third game with the Benjamin, of course we're gonna do it. We are having so much fun with that, but we really want to finish first the things that were left a little bit behind, and just let it out, be happy with that, that we did it, and we don't have like a baggage with us that we don't know what we're doing. And after that we're going to keep doing the Benjamin game. And about that I can't share much more than it's going to be connected to the universe that we already have with the both Misfortune and Fran Bow. So that part is really really exciting. And also, like you see here, like the picture of Benjamin, he became a little bit of a future boy all of the sudden. And that's one of the things that we realized, that what we're doing, what are we doing? And so when we kind of reached that moment, we realized we need to take a step back and analyze what we're doing. And then it was then when we realized that, oh, we need to find each other again. So quite it was quite cool to go through just that experience as well. And I want to finish my talk with saying that know your limitations and you will be able to set boundaries. Know your strengths and you will know what to pursue. Thank you for your time.